All right, we have this piece of code that creates a file. And what I want to do is I want to take this and have everything within a method. So I'm going to say private and then static void and then create and then file. This will take the path in there and I'm going to paste that. And then this path will be passed inside. So that's the argument to this as a parameter from the method. And then I can just say create file and then pass the path. So this is step one, create the file. So here, let's just return the file from here. And we're going to, let's just say return and then file, just like that. And obviously, if there's an exception, we want to throw the exception. So here, I'm just going to say throw new, and then I'm going to say illegal and then state exception, and we can pass E inside, just like this. So we actually print the message, but at the same time, we throw the exception. Otherwise, if everything goes well, when we create the file, we just return the file. So hopefully this should be easy for you to understand. Now we have the file in here. So here we get back the file, just like this. So file, there we go. And now let's use a class called file and then writer equals to new file writer. This accepts the file. So let's just pass the file that we created. And again, we have to surround this with try and catch. So try and then catch. And that's because this here, so let's just have a look. This throws, you can see the throws there. So I'm just going to go into it, IO exception. So anything that deals with file, most likely we throw an IO exception. So let's just put this inside, and this will be IO exception E. And again here, let's just say south. So we're going to do the same thing, E.getMessage, and there we go. So now we have file writer. Now with the file writer, we need to use something called print and then writer. And this is what allows us to actually write to the file. So here I'm going to say writer equals to new print writer. And inside we have to pass the file writer. So this, to be honest, is it, right? So now we have the ability to write to the file. So here I can say writer dot, and then have a look, print ln. We can pass an integer, print. So the difference between ln and print is that ln gives us a new line. Now we can pass all these different data types, including strings, objects, and whatnot. So here, let's just say print ln, and I'm going to say hello, and then let's print again. I'm going to say world, just like that. And one last thing that we need to do is once we finish writing to the file, we need to flush. So we need to say writer dot, and then we need to flush, and also we need to close. So writer dot close. So flush basically just makes sure that we basically flush these contents into the file, and then we have to close this because we no longer need the writer. And to be honest, this is it. You can see that it's fairly straightforward, right? So we have the file writer and then the print writer. We have to pass the file writer into the print writer. And then with the writer here, we can basically write to the file. Once we are done, we can just flush and close. Let's just run this and see what happens. There we go. Process exit with code 0. And let's just have a look. We have our file in here. And check this out. We have hello and then world. Now, one thing is, so let me just close this and open up main. So here, if I say, for example, amigos, and then here, I'm just going to show you that println just gives us a new space. And then here, I'm going to say code, for example. Let's just run this. Go back to our file. And you can see that we have amigos space, and then code. Now, this now is actually overriding the contents of the file every time we run the application. So here, if I say, for example, let's just say foo, run it, go back to the file, you can see that we have foo. But let's say that you want to append to the file, i.e. you want to keep on adding to the end. So to do that, within the file writer, we can say comma and then true. And in here, this is append. You can see this is the name of the argument that we pass in, or the parameter, right? So if I open up file writer, have a look, we pass the file and also Boolean append. Now append, just basically have a look, the file to write, append is true, then bytes will be written to the end of the file rather than beginning. So this is exactly what we want. So now if I basically say, let's just change this to amigos code, and let's just run this, go back to foo, check this out. So this now is intact. And what we've done is we've just appended to the end. So here, if I change this to Jamila, for example, so Jamila, run it, you can see that it keeps on appending to the end. And to be honest, this is pretty much how you write to a file. Next, let's go ahead and learn how to write to a file. Now, let me take all of this and I'm going to encapsulate this into a method. So I think, yeah, just this. So in here, let's just basically, so this takes what? This takes the file and that's it, right? So let's just take all of this and let's just have a method in here, private static, and then this will be void, and then write to, and then file, and we need to pass the file that we want to write to. So the file, and let's just paste in here, and this file in here is this one. Now I'm going to basically say write to file and then pass the file. And obviously we can have some logic in here, so whether we want to append, so here we could just say append, so Boolean and then append. So let's just pass the append in here, and also we could pass the contents of it, so maybe an array of strings, but for now let's just keep it like this, and then you'll see how we're going to refactor things around. But all I need to do now here is let's just say true. So we always want to append whenever we run this method, provided that we change this. But this is now taking shape. So have a look. So we can create a file, we can write to a file, and next we need to learn how to read from a file.